Ayan. So, next po tayo, clarification. So, usually accompanying psychological support, the dominant tone is understanding by the client of himself, his environment, or people with whom is associated. Ayan. So, sa clarification naman, so, medyo connected din siya sa psychological support. Okay? So, more on, nakapokus naman tayo sa pag-understand sa client, sa kanyang mismong sarili, sa environment, and doon sa mga associated sa kanya. Okay? It is directed towards increasing the ego's ability to see the external realities more clearly and to understand the client's own emotions, attitudes, and behavior. So sometimes the worker makes direct interpretation concerning effect or significance of client actions. And then always the effort is to help the client think more clearly, to react more realistically, and to plan more wisely. So clarification, more on nakapokus so paano ba natin mas matutulungan si client na mag-isip ng tama, ma-resolbahan ng maayos yung kanyang problema. Okay? And then lastly, we have insight development. This involves carrying understanding than described in clarification. So the current and past emotions must be relieved in therapeutic atmosphere in order that some of the effect may be discharged and in order that irrationalities may be brought clearly to the surface that they can recognize at first in the safety of the treatment situation and later in life. Okay. So sa insight development, so mas nagiging malalim na, nagkakaroon na ng mas malalim na pangunawa doon sa problema na kinakaharap ni client. Okay? So more on carrying understanding on the problem or the need of the client. Okay? So that's the per casework techniques by Florence Hollis. Yung ating environmental motivation, psychological support, clarification, and insight development. Ayan. So, let's talk naman about dun sa mga tools na ginagamit. Ayan. So, bahagi ng casework, siyempre, yung tinatawag nating interview and recording. So, ginagamit natin yung interview, recordings during the assessment on the data collection. Social work practice involves the use of tools to facilitate the achievement of the worker's goals and objectives. Okay, so when we say interview, it involves communication between two people and might be called professional conversation. Okay? So, kung ilalapat natin siya doon sa ating social work helping process. So, it would be a professional conversation between the client and the worker. It is also an art, a skilled technique that can be improved and eventually perfected primarily through continued practice. So this is also a specialized form of communication, a conversation with a deliberate purpose, a purpose mutually accepted by the participants. So this is also a primary tool daw ng social worker. So without this, hindi tayo makakapag-collect ng mga data. Specifically yung mga primary data na need natin with the client. It is the structure of operationalizing the interaction between a worker and a client. So interviewing is an art and a skill, and learning how to interview is learned by doing it. So ito rin ay main tool used in social practice, a verbal or non-verbal interaction. So pwede siyang through verbal using words, or non-verbal using facial expression, gestures, and etc. Which usually starts between two people, although three or more may be participating towards the end. So interviewing is a face-to-face meeting between two or more persons directed towards a purpose such as to obtain information, to give instruction, and to give help. This is also an art and technique which requires knowledge and skills. Ayan. So ano ba yung purpose ng interview? So una, to obtain information. So para nga makakollect tayo ng mga datos, para mas ma-assess natin ng tama yung client. And to give help to individual. Yes. To help individual arrive at the right solution of his problem. And number 4, to know the goal for particular interview. And lastly, number 5, primary objectives of interviewing are to help people explore their situation, to increase their understanding of it, and to identify client resources and strengths. So it is also used specifically to extract information, give therapy, resolve disagreement, and consider undertaking. So ang general purpose daw, pag ginamit natin siya sa ating profession on social work, so number 1, informational. Ayan. So with this interview, we able to make a case study. So makakagawa tayo. So without information, so paano tayo magka-come up na makagawa ng isang case study. And then diagnostic, to arrive at an appraisal. So with this interview din, so makukuha natin yung mga relevant information na makakatulong para ma-diagnose natin ano ba yung problema ni client. And therapeutic, to effect change. Ayan. So pamamagitan din ng mga interview, makikita natin ano ba yung mga dapat na mga services, mga programs or interventions na ibibigay natin na directly ay mag-e-effect ng change with the client. Ayan, so ang interview process natin, so usually meron tayong 3. Merong beginning, the middle, and the end stage. Okay. So sa beginning, this is a time to establish a common understanding between the case manager and the applicant. So more on, dito nag-establish pa rin tayo ng parang rapport with the client. More on, nagkakaroon pa ng pag-clarify ng mga roles. Nandito yung kikilalanin muna natin si client during the beginning phase. The beginning is also the opportunity to respond to any questions that the applicant may have about the agency and services and policies. So during the beginning, so para nagkakaroon din tayo ng orientation, ano ba yung mga services na meron na pwedeng ibigay ng ahensya o agency. Okay? Ito yung mga activities, So una, nandyan yung pag-greet natin sa client, and then nakapokus tayo on the purpose. Bakit ba tayo magkakaroon ng interview? We also clarify the roles. So ano ba yung magiging roles ni worker? Ano ba yung magiging roles ni client? And exploring the problem that has precipitated the application for services. So dito na natin palalawigin ano ba yung problema? Bakit ba ikaw ay lumapit dito sa agency ito? Ayan. So that's the beginning. So sa middle naman is the continuation of the beginning process through sharing and considering feelings, behaviors, events, and strengths. So dito mas nagiging malalim na yung pag-uusap o yung interview. So more on nakapokus na tayo on the feelings, behaviors, and events na may kaugnayan doon sa problema ni client. It is devoted to developing the focus of relationship between the case manager and the applicant. Sa middle phase, papasok na dito yung assessment, planning, and implementation. So, nagkakaroon na kayo ng pagpaplano, paano ba yung i-execute yung mga plano, and etc. Okay? And lastly, the end. Ayan. So a summary provides closure by describing what has taken place during the interview and identifying what will follow. So yung itong huling process ng interview, so dito sinasummarize na natin. Ano ba yung mga nagawa, ano ba yung nakamit natin, ano from the beginning down to the end. And then dito na rin papasok yung mga follow-ups ano. So para din sa termination phase ano ng ating helping process ano. So ayan. So that's the phases of interview ano from the beginning, the middle and the end stage. And so napakalaga ng interview ano, so hindi talaga siya mawawala sa proseso ng ating profession ano. So since ito yung makakatulong